What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. Today, I want to talk about crowdfunding. I feel like that's one of the things that's most contentious among the action figure community. We have some people on one side going, "You're not a true fan if you don't back this project." Then we have others going, "This thing's not enough value for my money, it costs too much, and I'm not getting enough." And it feels like through the entire crowdfunding window, you have this back and forth where people are just sniping at each other online, of course, and nothing really gets done. And I feel like we started seeing that with the Rancor, the Star Wars Black Series disaster of a project where it just felt like the Star Wars team couldn't help but tripping over its feet, coming up with ways to drop the ball with that project, which should have been a no-brainer, easy layup HasLab crowdfunding effort. Especially now when we got the Return of the Jedi anniversary, and it's like, oh man, if only we had come up with the HasLab Rancor right now after releasing the Jabba and Jedi Luke Emperor re-release. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about the Rancor. What I am here to talk about is the WWE Mattel WCW Nitro crowdfunding project. This is something that a lot of people were excited about when Mattel revealed it at a WWE Access event. People were really hyped up and excited, asking, "Are we going to get this thing? Is this possible for us to get in our hands?" And Action Figure Attack was like, "Well, if you guys want it, we'll make it happen." So it showed up, and bam, here it is. We got it. And then all of a sudden, all kinds of complaints. And I had a few, but not beating the dead horse and just continually bashing the project, because I think for what we're getting with this thing, it's really not bad. We're getting the big block WCW letters, which I think is super cool to get in figure form. I mean, there are all kinds of cool things you could do with that setup. It's a massive display. It's 40 inches wide, 20 inches tall. You got the two big flag banners there. You've got the entrance ramp, and you got all those light rigs with a remote control, which I think is really cool and definitely useful for a light up project like this. It's got a lot of space, a lot of depth, so you can actually move and maneuver a lot of figures around there too. It's got enough that you could have one character standing out front and then two other figures, maybe NWO guys, beating them up on the other side. So I think that's really cool the way they've done it. I think this $400 price tag is crazy sticker shock. And I think when you break it down to like, hey, what is this actually? If I were to pay $400 for 12 months, what would that really break down to? And then you just do that simple $33. That's a couple pizzas less per month. But that whole $400 is a whole lot of money to go, hey, we want you guys to get this and pick this thing up right now. So I understand why people are really hesitant. But it does have a shop pay option, so you can pay 4 installments of $100, which is not bad. Definitely a lot better than $400 all at once. And I haven't gone through the actual process to see if it's a deal of, okay, I'm paying every other month or every other week to do this thing, or if it's something where it can spread out a little bit more. I think that would be ideally the best option for it, where, okay, I don't need to pay for it right now, I'll get it later, and everything will work out just fine. So a lot of people were voicing their arguments, their concerns about this project. They didn't like the fact that Hulk Hogan was the early bird special. I know when Mattel needed a home run for that new generation arena, they just called up Macho Man, threw him in there, and he sold that bad boy and got it funded all the way with all the tiers, all the incentives. It was like, great, perfect. Hogan wasn't going to move the needle like that because he just had a similar figure back with the WrestleMania Amazon exclusive. And so it was one of those deals where nobody's going to care about it. It wasn't that big a deal. And it's just another Hulk Hogan. They've already released several Hogans in the red and yellow, or yellow and red. And this really wasn't that different outside of the cool shirt with no Velcro. And so he was an early bird, along with the Rey Mysterio Jr. figure you could get once the project was backed at 5,000. And you see it's still really struggling to get going. But back when that first got announced, it was even worse because it was at 818 backers, 16% of the way funded with 37 days remaining. You can see now it's 16 days remaining. So it's like half that time, and it really hasn't moved far at all. And Mattel, I think, has been really receptive, really responsive in terms of, okay, what's it going to take for you guys to back and support this project? We'll do whatever we can. Unfortunately, they're not able to work out anything with international customers, which I'm really curious if that is holding this project back. Maybe if international buyers, collectors didn't have to pay so much in taxes and fees, this project may be closer to 5,000 than we realize. But because so many international collectors are kind of getting screwed out with the extra fees and taxes, we're just relying basically on the domestic customers, collectors to pick and fund this bad boy up. And it's looking really dicey right now. So to kind of help move this project along, Mattel was like, all right, here's what we can do. Instead of just having Rey Mysterio as our 5,000 tier fully backed incentive figure, we're also going to include one figure, and we're not just going to put it up to us. It's not our choice. We're going to put it in the fans' choice. You guys have 24 hours. You can vote on these other 4 figures. Which one do you want to see included at the absolute base level with Rey Mysterio Jr.? That's unprecedented. That was something was like, wow, okay. Nice to see you guys stepping up, trying to figure out a way to sell this project to some people who are maybe on the fence, who are thinking it's going to take 7,000 backers to get this DDP. That doesn't seem really likely. It's going to take 9,000 to get Scotty Steiner, and it's going to take 11,000 to get this Ultimate Warrior figure in his boots and duster, and it just seemed really hard. So everybody had a choice. You could vote for Ultimate Warrior. You could vote for Hulk Hogan, even though he was done with the early bird special. You could vote for DDP. You get him with his Cell 5-5 deal. And if you really wanted, you could back this Hulk Hogan and make him come with Rey Mysterio so you have it set up like it was intended. But the winner, of course, was the Big Daddy, the big bad booty daddy himself, Big Papa Pump. And so lots of excitement because he was the one that so many collectors on forums, on Twitter, etc. were going, he's the one we want. Why we got to wait so long? There's no way we're going to get the 9,000 backers to get Big Papa Pump. So Mattel put it up for us to vote. That's a vote. And Scott Steiner won. And then people shifted to, okay, well, this singlet doesn't have enough detail. It's got a star. Back then, he was rocking singlets and he had like an airbrush version of his face on there. And so Action Figure Attack was like, all right, guys, I got you. No problem. Little update on Scott Steiner's developmental process from design. If funded, final product will have some additional deco logos in addition to the star. We're looking at his late March 98 gear, roughly that would give the figure an additional graphic in the star, plus the text logos on front and back. Of course, no Superman logo because, but I mean, there's another example. Hey, you guys want something. We're going to give you what you want. It's not a thing of, hey, we can't get this thing that we want. What's wrong with you guys, Mattel? Y'all suck. No. Mattel is going, here, we'll switch this up. You guys think this figure doesn't have enough deco. We got you covered on that too. We're going to add a whole lot more stuff. And with those announcements, we're seeing not enough action from the collector community who said, we really wanted this thing. We wanted this Nitro set. We wanted the Raw set as well. But get both of them out there for us and we'll back it. It doesn't matter what it costs. Apparently $400 is too much for people to back. And this is one of these cases where I think, a few more days, May 7th, there's going to be a lot of armchair quarterbacking going, well, they should have included a Booker T. They should have included a Ric Flair. All valid points at the beginning of this thing, but they're not going to switch out and swap out figures. They've done their best they could. They put the first time in Ultimate Edition form figures up front. Rey Mysterio, Big Papa Pump, and Diamond Dallas Page DDP. They put the ones you've gotten several Ultimate Edition figures of before, Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, towards the back end. Ultimate Warrior is the 9,000 tier, and then Hogan is the 11,000 tier. So, like, people were going, I don't care about this Hogan. 11,000 is such a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. But they made it so no one's going to feel like, oh, man, I really wanted that Hogan figure, but there weren't enough people to back it. It's not going to feel like a loss. It's just like, all right, let me swap this Legends 18 Hogan head, and I'll just on my Ultimate Edition Hogan, and I've got him covered. So I think they really addressed so many complaints outside of price. They couldn't deal anything with the international customers, but they responded on so many different levels. And I feel like they're showing Mattel maybe these kind of investments aren't worth it. So next year, if Mattel does decide to go forward with the Raw arena, It's going to need a whole bunch of support to be like, all right, this is justified. We can keep building these big, massive stage play sets for people. Now, I mentioned we're going to have a lot of armchair quarterbacking. There is one thing that I think that maybe would have helped Mattel out a lot more with this project. They released a WWE Attitude Era Ultimate Edition ring with Kane and alternate reverse colors. I feel like that was probably the best opportunity to release the WCW Nitro ring with Eric Bischoff. We know it's coming, but to have that ring and Bischoff figure before your big reveal of the Nitro Arena, they would have gone a long way because people know that ring is coming, but if they had it in their hands, and then it was, well, here's another big component to the Monday Night Wars set or era, the Nitro set. I think that would have probably convinced a lot more people to buy it because they have the ring already. So I feel like that was a big thing they could have done to kind of address this situation. We've seen prototypes of Monday Night Wars characters like Hogan, Hall, Luger. We know another series is coming. Ultimate Edition Monday Night War figures are coming as well. I think it would really been better for them to get ahead of this set and get some of these figures out in our hands so we could build up this excitement to have these WCW figures on the set that we've seen and we have in our hands or in store shelves or whatever, as opposed to, yeah, the set is going to come a year from now. So you'll have all these figures. You're going to have that Nitro ring. You're just going to have to wait a whole year before you get this set. And I just feel like if they had some of these figured out earlier, that would have helped a lot. But I think Mattel has really gone above and beyond what you would expect a big dollar corporation to do in terms of trying to sell this thing. And I get it. $400 is a ton of money. And it's not like, oh man, I could buy 2 Hot Toys figures of this thing, or one if you want to get some of those big Batman or Iron Man sets. So it's a lot, but I feel like this is definitely a showcase thing. Kind of waiting on my dear Uncle Sam to see if he will help me out, because I kind of feel like what they've done, what they've set up with this deal, it's not a terrible ripoff. And if I can get Big Papa Pump, Rey Mysterio, maybe, hopefully, possibly DDP, this $400 isn't going to seem like such a wash to me, especially if that means I don't have to worry about an Ultimate Warrior and a Hulk Hogan, and I didn't really care about in the first place. I know it's 2 less figures that are factored into this $400 price tag, but really, I didn't care about those figures. They're just going to be sitting on the shelf anyway. I didn't care, so I'm happy to get those 3 figures. So we'll see. Sam does have a little check coming my way, so we'll see what happens. But I really think they've done all they could on this deal, and hopefully some more of you guys will support it. Don't wait till May the 5th. I know everybody's going to be hyped up with May the 4th, but seriously, I think if you're interested in this project, you're kind of on the fence, it's not really going to do much outside of the temporary hold on your account to back it, because I think the more people see, hey, it is gaining some momentum, it is getting some steam, I think more collectors are going to back it. I think right now, when it's so far away from that $5,000 tier support, people are getting kind of like, whatever. There's no chance of it getting funded. I won't go through the process anyway. But I feel like that's probably the wrong approach in this case. So a lot of you all have also been going, hey, what are you going to say about this ramen racer? And I finally decided to check it out and give it the once over and check it out, all these features and all. This thing's crazy. It's got the light up grills, the light up headlights. There's so many different features with this thing. The trunk opens up, they got headlights, tail lights. Very cool. Got a hood that reveals engines, and then they've got all these add-on features as well, so you can do basically your Ghost Rider setup. You got the blade figure so you can see exactly how it would scale, and that's a really nice selling point for me, because it's like, okay, that's what that bad boy looks like, I'm on it. So we've got that, and that's really cool. I'm digging what we've got with this ramen racer. So then let's take a look at all these bonus extras here. So then there's an orange one. If you're a certain age before things got a little too PC and it was like, hey, who cares what's on the top of the General Lee? You can get your orange, tiger orange setup. And this is very clearly Dukes of Hazzard inspired. Bo, Luke, the Duke boys. No extra tier bonus figure of Daisy Duke or Uncle Jesse, Roscoe Beco Train. But I think that's pretty cool. It's a nice little feature if you want to get this version of it. That's a pretty nice feature. And then they've got, hey, Hasbro, we got you covered. Everybody who wanted the Robbie Reyes set, we've got you. We've got a little Flame Inferno pack, so we're going to put these on all the tires, and the charger itself, only $11 now. This is kind of interesting because these are early bird prices, so I kind of feel like an early bird should just be thrown in, but whatever. $11 isn't the end of the world. It's certainly not massively expensive. Then they've got another interchangeable pack. Now this is where you can do all your different things. You can get a Fast and Furious model, FF. You got your GR, your Ghost Rider, and then you got your Hell Charger set up. Basically, these are all really cool features. Got interchangeable rims. And I think this is a really solid deal for all this, especially when you consider it's only $175. So many of us, including me, were saying Hell Charger is at least $100 too much. And, because $350 was way too much for a car. $175 because they've got an early bird pre-order price going on right now. Definitely not a bad deal. So that's, you can throw in those other extra tiers. So $22 for your flames. So you got your $22 for your flame, your interchangeable hood, tail pieces. I mean, this is really cool. I think they've done a really good job making this something that's worth investing in, especially if you're like me. I kind of like Robbie Reyes. I wouldn't mind having a Hell Charger. Just that price tag was insane. Now we've got this covered with a much better option. I think this really takes care of everybody who was asking for this thing. So for all of you who are going, hey, what do you think about this Ramen Racer? I think it's really cool, and I think it's worth getting into. All these bonus features, there's a lot of cool stuff with it. And I kind of feel like, man, maybe if Hasbro had just released a Robbie Reyes figure earlier without tying him into this Hell Charger, people would be really excited. And I think this is going to sell really well anyway, because I got this all set up. So I can get my Blade in there. I can put a Punisher in this thing too. I'm really desperately wanting some company to make 6-inch figures of Fast and Furious so I can get my Dom, Brian O'Connor, The Rock, Hobbs, the whole crew. And I would so use this for them. So I'm thinking of going in with this too, because I think this is a really decent setup, good price point, lots of features. The additional charges you can throw in there as well make it a cool value as well, without getting past that threshold that Hasbro thought was remotely fair. $350 for that Hell Charger is crazy. This is totally a better deal, and definitely something that I'm interested in, and think it really works out for everybody who is interested in getting a 6-inch scale car for their figures. So that's it with me on this crowdfunding deal. I think it's really important, if you have the resources to fund these projects, don't go on debt for them, of course, but I think it's really important. And if you don't buy it, or if you don't fund it, I think stating clearly and cleanly, and not like, you suck company because you're not doing what I want. But I think that'll help educate these companies and go, all right, here's what we need to do for the next one. Because I feel like Hasbro's Star Wars team was just like, la, 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 and he totally missed the point with it. Instead of, hey, all right, our Rancor project didn't sell, let's do something else that everyone will definitely want. A Reva lightsaber. Terrible strategy. But I think if we can lay out cleanly why we don't want these projects, or what's wrong with it, or how they could improve upon it, that would do so much more to get these things funded. So hopefully this Nitro deal will make the big Hogan-like comeback and get funded all the way. So at least the first 2 figures, that big Papa Pump, Rey Mysterio, get funded. And then maybe if enough people see it, the momentum's building, we'll get that DDP. We can all do the self high five, call it a day. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. This episode of Laos Figure Files has been filed.